workout one, circuit number one. We got 5 exercises we're gonna do. We're gonna cycle through, hit the entire body on this. All right, first exercise is gonna be goblet squat. Second exercise is gonna be an incline dumbbell chest press, single arm dumbbell row, Romanian deadlift, and we're gonna finish off with the core exercise, up down plank, which is also gonna have a lot of cardio to it. So in terms of equipment needed, we're gonna need 1 dumbbell, which we're gonna use for the goblet squat. We're also gonna use the same dumbbell for the single arm dumbbell row, just to make it a little bit easier in case you're working out in a commercial gym that's kind of busy. We're gonna need an adjustable bench. And then we're gonna need 1 set of dumbbells, which we're gonna use for both the incline dumbbell press and the Romanian deadlift. If you're really fancy, you can get a mat, but if not, you can just work out and do the plank on the floor. All right, so the first exercise is gonna be the goblet squat. It's a quad dominant exercise. So before I even pick up the weight, what I wanna do is I wanna start activating my legs. I'm gonna do that by feeling like I'm splitting the floor. So feeling like I'm turning my feet outwards, that's gonna start to activate this inside and the back side of my legs. Also wanna start squeezing my glutes at the same time, get some leg activation. Now I'm gonna go down here, drop down nice and low, pick this weight up, pull it up. Notice I pull the dumbbell up against my chest. If I hold it out here, it's all arms, and it's gonna get really heavy really fast. I'm gonna get a great bicep workout in, but I'm also not gonna be able to lift as much weight. So I'm gonna hold it and hug it up against my chest just like this. Remember, we're activating those legs. Drop down. You wanna get about as low as you can until your elbows hit your quads. At that point, you know you're low enough. Keep that chest up and drive right up out there, squeezing the glutes. Show what it looks like from the side. Notice chest stays up. I stay nice and stable. When I drive out of there, squeeze the glutes. Next exercise, incline dumbbell chest press for our chest and front delts. Some common mistakes on this, if you're not feeling the chest. A lot of people do this exercise very shoulder dominant. That means they flatten their back up against the bench and they roll their shoulders forward and they press a lot with their shoulders. We want to work the chest. So in order to do that, we're going to isolate the chest by pulling those shoulder blades down and back and digging them into the bench. So by doing so, we're going to stick the chest out and we're going to focus on what we want to, which is building a big ass chest, not building just big shoulders. Okay? So I got my set of dumbbells. Again, first cue is going to be tucking those shoulder blades into the bench and getting the chest to stick out. So I tuck, chest is out, now I press up and over. Couple other things I want to mention there. Again, if you're not feeling like you're hitting the chest enough, it's because you're not really focusing on your chest. One way of doing that is just to stick your arms straight out and squeeze your elbows together like so. Doing so, you're going to start to really feel that chest activate. Another common mistake a lot of people make on these chest presses is by getting those dumbbells in here too much. The angle on your arm should be about where your fist and your hand is going to be over your shoulder. So you can see that right here. As I bring these dumbbells down, I want my hand, my fist, the weight actually to be over my elbows, if not even a little further out. If I'm in here, I'm not going to be in a good position to press. I'm also not going to be stretching the chest properly, and I'm not going to be hitting the muscle that I want to, which is again is my chest. So I'll do one more example rep, and notice the weight. I spread at the top, so it's spread, 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 spread. Come down, stretch the chest, hands out here. Dumbbells are gonna be just on the outside of those shoulders, and then as I press up, I'm focusing on squeezing those elbows together. That's gonna activate the chest, get the shoulders out of the movement. So let me do a couple more reps so you can see what that looks like. So tuck, tuck, chest is out, dumbbells are up. First thing is spread, 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 spread. Dumbbells come down, outside of the shoulders. I'm in a good position to push here. My chest is stretched. Drive up, drive those elbows together, and squeeze. That's an incorrect chest position. We're not in a good position here to push. You want those dumbbells out, and then press. All right. Next exercise, single arm dumbbell row. In order to do this, I'm going to drop the bench down by 1 notch. I like to keep the bench up just a little bit on these because it keeps our chest up and allows us to get a good rowing motion and focus on the lats. If you go with a flat bench, a lot of times people hunch over too far and then they end up getting a lot of upper back, rear delt, and even bicep involved. Common mistakes on this exercise. A lot of people end up rowing in a straight line and using too much bicep and too much rear delt. When a lot of people row, what they end up doing is pulling in a straight line right here. This is a very bicep and rear delt, upper back dominant row. We're trying to focus on the lat, so we need to pull more towards the hip. Also, another mistake people make a lot is using their entire body to move the weight. So they shrug their shoulder and rotate their body over in order to generate more force and pull the weight up. We want to isolate the lat, so we need to level our shoulders out and keep them level. So common mistakes again are pulling in a straight line or opening up and using the entire body to move the weight. Again, we want to just focus on the lat. So the cues are going to be, first thing, pick up the dumbbell. Second thing, level off the shoulders so you're in a nice level position. Make sure your core is nice and tight, and then drive the dumbbell towards the hip. Right back down, and up. Notice my shoulders are staying level. I'm just focusing on the lat, and there's a slight forward and backward motion. It's a row. I'm pulling towards the hip, so it's slightly forward, slightly back. And that's going to, again, focus on the lat more. All right, next exercise, dumbbell Romanian deadlift. So we're going to swing right over here. This is for the hamstrings. This is a hip hinging movement. So it's a hip dominant movement, not a knee or quad dominant movement. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to squat down and I'm going to actually squat the dumbbells off the ground, and then I'm going to move into the Romanian deadlift. I'm going to do that because it's very hard to Romanian deadlift off the floor. So start in this position here with the dumbbells in front. Again, this is a hip driven movement, not a knee movement. So I'm going to push those hips back, 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 back. Let those dumbbells get below the knee. Good stretch on the hamstrings. Then I'm going to drive up and squeeze those glutes. Stretch those hamstrings, drive up, squeeze the glutes. Some common mistakes on this exercise are using the knees too much. You'll see people try to bend their knees and come down. It's a hip-driven movement, so make sure you're pushing those hips back, 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 back. Other mistakes people make are rounding their back. Make sure you're pulling your shoulder blades down and back and tightening up this core here, keeping a nice neutral back. You'll see people come down, 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 and if your back's getting here, that's a bad back position. We need to pull the shoulder blades down and back in order to keep that nice, straight, flat back, okay? So make sure you're pulling your shoulder blades down and back, keeping tension through the backside in order to maintain a neutral position. Last exercise, up, down, plank. We'll roll right over here for that. On this plank, a lot of people plank incorrectly because they either get too low and they're having sex with the floor down here, or they keep their hips up way too high and they're not really working their core. We want to kind of be in between. So I like to start in the plank by starting in the down position. First cue on the plank, up on those toes. So the first thing you want to do is get those toes on the ground. Next thing you want to do is squeeze your glutes, boom. Glutes are tight. Third cue, squeeze those quads to straighten those legs out. So now I got a lot of tension in my legs. Then we're gonna pop the hips up and pull our shoulder blades down and back. Now is the up down part. Up, up, down, down, up, down, down, alternating arms. And notice my hips, I'm trying to keep them as level as possible and keep as much tension throughout my body as possible. So my glutes are staying tight the entire time, my quads are staying tight the entire time.